I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? It is the summer. It is a summer Muppetry pod from the American Red Devils. We are in the bunker. It is officially summer in Northern California, in the States. Hope everyone is enjoying their summer thus far, wherever you're listening in. It's starting to get hot in the bunker. We're really missing that AC today. I heard it's going to get even hotter next week. And you know where it's getting hot? It's getting hot in that front office, because here we are, end of June, Manchester United. We have a lot of areas to reinforce. We have a goalkeeper situation. We need 2 strikers. We need midfield additions. We need rip and replace in defense, whether it be who we got. Telles needs to go. Hendo needs to go. Maguire needs to get replaced. The Fred saga. There's so much going on and so little being done. Who are we talking about today? We're talking about your boy, favorite player on Chelsea, and apparently Eric Ten Hag's number one target, at least led to believe, in the midfield area is Mason Mount. That's all we got to talk about. Sale news has gone a little bit dry. What's going on with De Gea? Are we going to sign your boy Owana? I don't know, sir. How you feeling? How we doing? How's your summer going?
Summer not too shabby from a personal perspective. Absolute disaster class for Manchester United. And it's mainly due to the sale. Look, we said it here on the podcast many times. Everyone's trying to hype you up and link Manchester United to all these players to get the clicks, get the views, all the analytics on socials going crazy, but United doing nothing. And they're doing nothing because an organization that is about to engage in a sale, they're going to hold the cash. They're negotiating with the new owner right now, probably exclusivity in the works. They're not thinking about this summer. They told the Paella brothers, the numpties in the front office, hey, you might be able to do £100 million of spend. Now, they did not comment if that's necessarily net. Now, I think you'd be lucky to get $100 million net. I'm thinking more like in the 80 range. It's going to be a very rough summer for Manchester United. And as fans, we have to temper our expectations. I said it on the prior podcast. This sucks. United's being sold. Look, we're going to get the Glazers out. That's the biggest transfer of the summer, by the way. And the news, we haven't heard much. It's been dying down after everybody was gearing up for the imminent Qatari takeover. Looking at you, Rio Ferdinand, calling it out on social. Look, it can still happen. But we have to just wait for the press release from the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, that's really what we need to do. Until we get the domino to drop there, the summer is just going to be Mason Mount rumors and a lot of nothing from United.
A lot of nothing from United while our upstart rivals are spending cash left, right, and center. Newcastle's splashing out £70 million for a hot prospect Italian lad in the midfield. They are going to keep on spending. But I think at the end of the day, last 2 transfer windows in the summer, the big ones are not about players. The big transfer last year, you called it. I think it was the signing of the season, sir. His name was Eric Ten Hag, former center back. He wasn't the best player in the world, but he's a hell of a manager. Our bald fraud, and he has changed this club in terms of where we've been going the last decade. I don't even want to start going through the last decade since our dear Fergie retired. And then this summer, hopefully, it's new owners. I don't have a dog in the fight. I just want the Glazers out. I want somebody who's going to invest in the club. And not just spend money, because right, we spent a shit ton of money, but we pissed it down the drain. Invest in top talent, and it starts with the people you have running the club, right? We have it in Eric Ten Hag, but he needs expertise all around him. I think he has done that on a staff, but he doesn't decide who the technical director is, or the DOF, or the CEO. And all of those 3 numpties are unqualified to even do it at a Luton Town, let alone a Manchester United. We're the worst run club in the EPL, maybe us or Everton. Usually in the top or bottom 3 as it relates to relegation of a club being run. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. Like you said, the summer is going to be wicked. It's going to be like half the budget's going on Mason Mount. We got a $100 million budget, and we're spending half of it on Mason Mount. The real deal is like we need new owners, and we need new people in charge, and we need new people pulling the strings, because otherwise, like Eric Ten Hag is going to be fighting with 2 hands behind his back like he has been. And this summer is more of the same.
It's going to be the same old for Manchester United, unfortunately. Look, Transfer windows, you don't win titles because of transfer windows. Look at PSG. They haven't won the Champions League. They signed a bunch of star boys, and the locker room sucks. Have trouble winning the French league, French Cup, whatever they do over there. It's a farmers league. It's a joke. And United, we have our manager. I think he has to be the number one guy. Always, he is the number one guy on this team after booting Ronaldo. I think you can't ask any questions around Erik ten Hag and his leadership. Everyone's bought in, and we need to focus on getting this group of players together over this season and then adding the right players over time. How can you expect to add the right players over time if you do not have a world-class director of football, which we do not have? With the new ownership, hopefully whoever gets it will sign. The first thing to do is to get a world-class director of football. And with that position filled with Ten Hag, who's got it sorted, he's got the soldiers cranking, everyone's buying into what he's selling, I think we could be in a really good position, but it's going to take time. And I think as United fans, time is not on our side on social media. You know, it's like everyone wants everything now. We want Mbappe yesterday. We want this and that, but this is going to be built over time. Erik ten Hag is the man to do it. I think that's the hardest piece of the puzzle to get. And then we're just have to see him back. We're going to have to back our manager and back these players and realize this is going to be more of a transition year into a new owner, which could unlock the promised land for Manchester United, which we all deserve. And it'll be worth it because winning the Premier League 21 is going to be something so special. We will see it in our lifetime, and hopefully it's a part of this new ownership group, bringing in new leadership into Manchester United that works hand in glove with our amazing bald Dutchman, because that's the real win for United. The real transfer is Glazers out any way we can get him gone.
100%. That is the objective for the summer. You know, strikers, Harry Kane, Mason Mount, Declan Rice, Moise Caicedo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's nice, but would love
it, Declan Rice.
Would not mind side of Rice. Declan Rice, he could play football. He could play in the 6. He could play in the 8. He's English. And he's a decent player. He looked pretty good on West Ham.
We could challenge.
I'm not sure about that. We need a couple strikers.
We're getting to the Muppets.
We can't challenge.
Declan Rice.
We can't challenge. We watched a lot of shit football over the last decade. And I think your message that you just said, which is be patient. We're going to have to be patient. This summer is a write-off again, because guess what? The new owners, that's not going to be settled by the time the transfer window closes on Sep 1st. It'll be hopefully settled by the time we do the January transfer window. We know those are usually difficult to get good deals in unless you can pick up a Vidic or a Bruno Fernandes or even, who else? I don't know. Evra. He was great, especially. So I think the big thing is let's get the new owners in. Let's just cobble together enough players, maybe do some deals, re-sign Rashford. I would like to send De Gea on his way to Saudi Arabia with a claim. He was a great man, great goalkeeper for this club, won a title under Sir Alex, and he should be shown the utmost respect. This should have been done differently. If he is leaving this summer, we should have known about it ahead of time. They should have had it already kind of locked down in the middle of the season, end of the season. They're like, hey, we're not going to re-sign De Gea. Let's get in a new guy. Let's have that ready to go. And let's show De Gea the requisite tribute that he has deserved by being a steward for the club for over a decade, and instead he's going to get the Rio Ferdinand RVP treatment, which is like booted out the back door. So that's a shame. I don't want to see his career at Manchester United end that way, but this is Ed Woodward 2.0. It's like these guys are no different. It's his apprentice. Richard Arnold is the next in line from Ed Woodward. So you're going to get the same kind of poor decision-making and bad man management and not upholding the Manchester United identity, which is to treat players who have treated the club with respect, you treat them with respect back. So that is a shame because I feel like that's coming. Either he's going to re-sign a new contract in like 3 days and they're going to give him all this dumb money, or he's going to get just left at the back door.
It's cheaper to re-sign him. They're going to re-sign him. You heard it here on the podcast.
They might.
Before we get into the transfer news, we got a quick PSA for the podcast. You like the America Red Devils? We are for fans by fans. No commercial sponsors on this podcast. You want to keep it ad-free. Support us on Patreon. It's the best way to go the extra mile to support us. There's tons of benefits. Behind the scenes episode every single month. You get some merch depending on what tier you sign up on, and there's other exclusive benefits. Please check it out. Also, check out our website, AmericaRedDevils.com, for fan-only, fan-generated content. Check out our store as well, AmericaRedDevils.store. Everything you buy supports this small-time operation. And a big shout-out to our Patreon members who signed up this week. Brian Helt, Craig Sullivan for re-upping. Big shout-out to you. And Matthew Roherher. If you want us to butcher your name, sign up on Patreon. Start telling about iTunes reviews.
See, it's not just potential targets, coaches, staff whose name we butcher. We also butcher Patreon fans. So join an exclusive club. A great way to support the pod, other than joining Patreon, other than buying top merch and top scarves designed by John himself, is you can write 5-star reviews. They're a great way for us to get found organically by other Muppets like yourself. It helps us get found, like I said, by other fans, and even better, we're giving away free merch. All you have to do is write a 5-star review wherever you listen, ideally on iTunes or Spotify, and send a screenshot to AmericanDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I'll personally pick, pack, and ship some free ARD gear. I'll send it straight to your door anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. I mean it. We sent them everywhere. Singapore, Northern Europe, all over the great US of A. So get some free merch. Here's a great one from IJ2219. Awesome. Great Man United podcast. Best in the US. Thank you, IJ. We appreciate it, sir. It's Muppetry time. We're talking about, what we talk about? We talk about news. All news, all the time. What's going on? You order a side of rice with your dinner?
United in the news.
You're getting Mason Mount.
The Premier League.
Premier League.
50 days. 50 days out.
That's it?
Man, summer I thought was just getting started. Sir, we're back. 2 pods a week in 50 days. Let's go. I love it.
Hey,
we got
Champions
7
League.
preseason
Champions
games. Eric Ten Hag is rumored to have like a week of conditioning before preseason. He's going to call Hell Week.
I love it. It's like football. It's like football back in the day, sir.
It's like we had, I think we had
3-a-days.
3-a-days in New Jersey in the summer. This is the American brain damage type of football. And boy, did they not think you needed to drink water.
No.
So glad sports science has kind of intervened, and the players are going to be really pushing the pace. And I think this is the theme for this season is, hey, get some dead wood out, get some value, make a few clever moves, and then let's go again. Obviously, who wouldn't want a world-class number 9? But unfortunately,
And a world-class
it's
goalie.
not in the cards.
And more world-class midfielders. I just want world-class everywhere. We got a world... Go ahead.
You want world-class everywhere, sir. You're spoiled.
I am.
Let's talk. First bit of news here. This is from the Mail. Manchester United transfer budget only £100 million. Even if new owners arrive. Frustrating to see this headline splashed across social media this week, but it does make sense. We said temper your expectations this summer for United. Given the sale process, there's not a lot of funds available. Given the credit card spending, I'm going to say that Anthony charged there for about 80, mid-80s as far as millions of pounds are concerned. That one is tough. We have a lot of debt on the books already. Cash flow is tight. Sale process ongoing. Doesn't make sense to spend big this summer. That is why there just isn't a lot of cash available. Primarily because we can't sell players as well. If we could sell 100 million of players, does this make it 200 million? They didn't specify it was net or not. Net is really the only number that matters.
Yep.
And if you look at our transfers last summer, a lot of them were actually Eriksson on a free. Like, that's the type of business we need to be doing if our budget is only 100 million. And overpaying for Mason Mount probably isn't a good start. How do you feel about this budget?
No, you're in a really tough position because United are not just bad at buying players in the sense that we always overpay. We overpay more than any other numpty club in the world would pay, i.e. Anthony, who I actually think is a solid player, but we could have gotten him earlier in the window for like 50 million instead of 80 million. You could have gotten Casemiro for like 50 million instead of 70 million. And at the same time, we can't sell anybody. So if we do sell Fred, if we do sell Magoo, if we do sell Hendo, we'll get a shit price, because at the end of the day, everybody knows who's sitting around the table, those 19 other clubs in the Premier League, that the people that run Manchester United are morons of the 10th degree, and they can be taken advantage of because they've been shown to be taken advantage of time after time after time, sir. And all you need to know about this is the budget. It makes sense. At the end of the day, right now, the Glazer family owns Manchester United. And if you look over the past decade, since Fergie's retired, and that's really like when their tenure began in terms of them pulling the strings, every time we have finished in the Champions League, the summer before, we spent good amounts of money. And the following summer, after we qualified in the top 4, either via the league or via Europa League, we did not spend a lot of money. We spent sub 100 net million the following summer. So like just on that, we're not going to spend a lot of money. Same time, you talk about it all the time. The balance sheet's a mess. We owe shit ton of money. We don't have a lot of cash at hand. We're not going to spend money. Third, there's a negotiation around the value of the club and the transaction around it, and there's working capital assumptions. And I'm sure, sir, I haven't sold a football club before, but I'm sure, like, if there is a front runner who is negotiating exclusivity and a binding offer or whatever, there would be some like working capital assumption around what is available to spend in the summer, because obviously whoever buys this dear club does not want to not spend in the summer and be back like a step as they head into their first season owning Manchester United. You would think, right, as part of this process, they're like, you get to spend 100 and then we'll wash it out with the final numbers when we actually close the deal. But tell me where I'm wrong, sir.
No, that would just be the working capital adjustment that would come out of the purchase price.
There you go.
And it makes sense. But you look, we only have 80 odd million in cash on the balance sheet, and the budget's 100. It assumes we're going to sell players. We're also going to, negotiate milestones in the transfer so they kind of come down the line. But let's get into our first bit of news, the only news for Manchester United. And like you said, when you're looking at our rival, sir, I just stopped looking. Like Arsenal throwing like 3 barrels out to get Declan Rice. All these players that we were linked with should have gotten over the line. Jude Bellingham, Real Madrid, another player that should be on United. Holland getting paid $900K a week should be on United. We should have literally like Declan Rice,
one for 30,
Bellingham, and Holland on Manchester United. And that's what's insane, that
Julian
the
Alvarez,
fact we don't have those players.
I know.
Also, Moyes Caicedo, which if you rewind the tape, we said we should sign.
We did.
You need more deals like these young South American players coming up for cheap. I love that type of like getting that conveyor belt going. Someone explodes to 100 million. You have the option to keep them, deal them. There's so much flexibility when you can, take young talent and grow it into a big valuation. And speaking about big valuation, Chelsea, here's the rub from Fabrizio Romano. Understand Mason Mount's side stance remains clear.
He just makes you want to laugh. That grin. Look at that smile. Look at that haircut.
No plans to sign a new deal with Chelsea.
Yep.
Man United now,
last year
or
the deal.
Free agent in 2024. This is big here. This means Mason Mount wants Manchester United.
Correct.
His team is saying we only want United, and he will not sign a new deal. So you should do the deal now. United bid $55 million. This is our third barrel.
Yep.
Bayern kind of interested.
Barrel. Where'd you get that from? That's good. That's good. I like that.
Just shooting shells. That's what we're doing. It's like our third barrel. It's like 55 comes down the pipe. Chelsea basically rebuffs it. We said final offer. Bayern not interested. Tuchel's a fan of Mason Mount, but no talks official with Bayern. This is from Romano. It was literally today. This is the latest you get on the Mason Mount. Let's table the laughing at Mason Mount and just generally, is he a good player? $55 million for the last year in a deal. His stats last season, not great.
Nope.
What are we thinking? If I'm the director of football here, say Ten Hag, he wants Mason Mount. Chelsea, here's 30. Take it or leave it, and we're not effing around. That has to be it. And then Mount has to push to get out and get the 30. That's literally what you need. You need the player to go to bat with Chelsea and say, I only want Manchester United, and then they're forced to take the deal. We just don't know what we're doing. 55 for the last year in the contract is insane. I'm already mad how far we went up.
Yeah.
And that's just because we have someone who doesn't know how to get a deal. To get a deal is you lowball Chelsea, you get the Mason Mount team to force it through. That's the move here.
100%. And like, I think 30, I think it's actually closer to 40 because the numbers have just moved upwards so much in the last couple of years, especially even versus like 13. We paid £27 million for RVP in the last year of his contract, something the Glazers did not want to do. And that felt like it was worth every penny. This is no RVP, bro. This is Mason Mount. He scored 5 goals in the Premier League last season, 6 assists. He is above average.
No, that's too many.
He's like 5 and 5. He's like a 5 and 5er. He had one
last
really
season.
Good
It was like 3 and 2.
I thought it was 5 and 6.
No,
I thought I just
3 and
checked. Either way, 40 is a good price for United. given where prices have gone. He's 24. He is young. He's England, so you're going to pay that English premium. 50 is Chelsea's getting a good deal.
3 goals, 2 assists.
Unbelievable.
24 matches.
Unbelievable.
That's Wout territory. That's Wout Wakehorse territory.
Wow, so you don't even give
that's
him
Wout
don't give him that
Wakehorse
much shy.
territory.
Wout only got 2
No,
goals.
I'm just letting you know.
I'm just saying, 40 is a good deal for United. 50 is the upper limit. Anything 55 is nuts, bro. It's like he's not that good of a player.
So you're a Muppet. 40? Get out. 3 goals, 2 assists. Last year on the deal, 24 matches. You got to be kidding me. He couldn't even get into the team. You can't be paying. Like, fine. You
The better
you offer
player
30,
went to
you
City.
could go to
Kovacic
38.
is over 35 million, and he's
Exactly.
older, but he's a better midfielder all day.
Exactly.
I'd rather have him on my
The
side.
problem is Chelsea want to keep him. That's the whole rub here. Chelsea don't want to sell Mount. This is why this deal is becoming difficult. Us creeping up in price just because we do not know what
we're
we're
idiots.
doing.
We
It's
should have
'cause
walked
Ten
away at
Hag is
45.
saying- Ten Hag has said, this is my number 1 player. So, look, I'm not going to debate the Mason Mount jokes.
Shouldn't we?
We could go really far with those, have a good laugh. But the point that I'm trying to say is United going to 55 last year on the deal. You look at those numbers, it's like, you can't be paying this. And the only reason why we are is because Chelsea does not want to sell him. But look, it's a bridge too far.
And they
for
know
them.
we'll come up. They know we'll come up because they know the club is run by
55
idiots.
Is out of,
It's
55 is madness.
Madness.
Absolutely.
Madness.
Like,
and they want to go to 65. That's the
I said
rumor.
75 for Kane in the last year of his deal, and he's scoring 30 goals.
I know. And that shit
Like,
team.
that's the type of, like,
Look at that
75
grin.
is outlandish.
Look at that smile. You want to pay 55 for that guy?
All right, now let's kill Mason Mount.
Now let's kill him.
Mason Mount.
Bang average.
I just told you his stats.
Bang average.
Overhyped, English premium, hasn't done it, like couldn't get into a side at Chelsea. He's been drowning. Look, he had I think FA Cup final. He had scored a good goal.
He played really well in the Champions League final.
He's
They won,
underwhelming.
apparently.
Underwhelming. Like you could probably pick out a match here or there, but the consistency that we need.
He's like Fred.
Look, the way Eric Ten Hag wants to play, he fits. He's like a player who plays in this way. He wants to play
Off the ball, he's really good. He presses a lot. That's what everyone says. He's got very good
He
press
basically wants
stats.
to have Bruno and Mason Mount and have them interchange, be able to interchange in the midfield as far as like pushing up the field and then being able to attack and then defend as well. So like the idea we're going to play McTominay, McFred in front of the back 4, that's not Eric Ten Hag. That's not the way he wants to play. He wants to flip that. Mason Mount can do that job. And as far as I'm concerned, I would like to see him do that job at Manchester United. I actually think like, hey, Ten Hag wants him. I trust Eric Ten Hag.
Yeah.
And he wants to play this way, and he's going to try it. He thinks Mason Mount can do it. Let's see. I mean, he can't be horrible, but the valuation, in my eyes, is getting out of control. It's 35-40. Really, last year of his deal had a bad season. You can't be in the 50, 60 million range. That's just, you're paying for hype. You're paying for the English premium. That's really what you're paying for here. And I just hate that because you see what happens every time we overpay. It doesn't go well.
No other team that's in the top 6 last season that's trying to buy Mason Mount is going to get pushed this high. It's a United tax. It's Chelsea. They might not want to sell. Well, if the player wants to leave, they don't have a lot of options. We've already gone to 55. I mean, we should not even be at 55. We should be at 45 max and be like, this is it, bro. Otherwise, we'll come back at the end of the window with a $35 million offer. And if we don't, we'll just go for a better, I don't say better, different type of player. Moise Caicedo is the player that I think we're using in the next story to kind of motivate Chelsea to say, hey, we have other targets elsewhere. Now, Moise is kind of like your heir apparent to Casemiro. He's more of a 6. Mount is more of a out-and-out 8. I think Caicedo could actually play both. He could play 6 or 8. He could play 8 with Casemiro behind him next to Bruno and do everything. He's also younger. He's
doesn't
21.
want to go in this direction.
He's got 4 years on his contract. They're going to demand top dollar. But if I was DOF, obviously I would not be spending $80 million on a midfielder when we need 2 strikers and we have nobody that can play striker other than Marcus Rashford. But say we do have money. Say we do want to get a midfielder. I would get Caicedo this season so he doesn't go to Chelsea, and because he's a better player than Mason Mount and he can play more positions and he just has more dog in him. And then if you really rate Mason Mount, get him next season for free and give him a $20 million signing bonus. You get to screw Chelsea. You get a player, he'll be 25 next year, plenty of gas in the tank, and you get Moise Caicedo and take him away from a rival. Everybody wins. We'll pay £60 million.
100 million pounds. 100 million is what Brighton want for Caicedo.
100 million. We could have got
The
him
thing
for
about
5.
I know but we didn't. That's because
but we didn't.
we are not good at transfers.
No, we're not.
As far as Casiedo is concerned, I agree. This is more of the direction I think we should go. You looked at when we really struggled was with Casemiro not in the team.
Yeah.
Casemiro coming back, not looking himself as well. And I feel like Casemiro kind of showed us like what we look like with a real CDM who can do it on his own, and then we can play Eriksen and Bruno. I feel like that's so critical for United that we need somebody to back up that role. Mason Mount, maybe Casemiro can play all of our games, but he got a lot of red cards, and we need another option because he also at the end of the season was struggling, and I think that's when you get some young blood in. But we're going to see. The good news for Manchester United fans is we're seeing this Casiedo smoke screen. So clearly, Arnold, Murtaugh, listen to the pod. We're telling them, like, this is the smoke screen tactic. Chelsea is also doing the Bayern smoke screen as well.
Which obviously...
And I just love it. It's like Chelsea's like, Bayern's interested. United's like, we're going to Casiedo. And then it's just this whole, mind games that you're trying to play here. But the real move for United is to get Mount to push for the deal.
Yep.
But you need a lower price from the push. But that's just where we are. Next one here, goalkeeper. You talked about it at the Open. Andre Onana played for Inter. Apparently, he played amazing in the Champions League final. I tweeted that he didn't play.
It's a legendary take from John and the American Red Devils.
I have two children, so I was watching the Champions League final.
With one eye closed?
My daughter just started walking, so yeah, I'm like glancing at the TV, kind of like City has most of the ball. For the spells I saw him kick it out of bounds. I didn't see a lot from him on his feet, so I tweeted that out, and apparently, I watched the highlights back. All the good passes are, in the first half. Must have missed those, and everyone just, the world exploded on my tweet. Everyone thought it was the worst take ever, which it probably is, because we're Muppets, and that's what we do here.
We don't get it right all the time. Hey, and that, you know what? I didn't agree with your take, but...
And that's what I like, is, you called me up and me
that's a bad take, bro.
You're an idiot. And I'm like, you know what? I think I am.
But you know what? I didn't react the same way some people did on Twitter, and that's another diatribe. Twitter is don't engage if people want to get negative. I think this is the type of direction we should go in. I think, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, I don't like the way this is setting up for De Gea, even though he's probably going to sign a new deal in 3 days at 200K a week, and then ha. But we need a ball-playing goalkeeper. At the end of the day, the football game has changed. You need to be able to play through the press. And the best way to do that is to play with a goalkeeper who's very comfortable playing with the ball at his feet, who can basically give you another outfield player so you can split the pressure from the 2 attackers or 3 attackers, whatever they do to press up at the goalie. And that's been a real point of weakness for De Gea, for Manchester United. Beyond just he gets muscle in the box sometimes and makes some gaffes. I think that the biggest area is the fact that we cannot play out the back, and we get every team, whether
Magoo and Lindelof together, last season, were not good either. I'm going to say.
I got to defend your boy. I know you got to defend your boy. But I'm just
this
saying,
season, I would agree.
With Martinez
he
and
did win the
Varane.
Golden Glove. You got to say that about De Gea. Now, the question here is, do we move off of him? And come on, we all know the answer to this. Even I know the answer to this. They're going to re-sign De Gea. It's cheaper. And, actually, if you ask Erik ten Hag, and, fine, all the fans are, groaning, moaning. I don't want De Gea back next year. I think the move is a good move for Onana or Costa in Portugal.
Yep. Both great players.
You should have already got somebody in
exactly
last summer. So the problem needs to be solved. Now, if you look at £100 million and we need 2 number 9s and Mason Mount's going to cost $60 million and we can't sell Harry Magoo, and you add all this stuff up, then you're like, all right, De Gea's playing for Manchester United because the money is needed elsewhere. And unfortunately, that's probably the case. Why did we re-sign Dalot to a long-term deal? And it's because, do we probably need to pick Dalot or AWB and then sign somebody else? We do, but do we have the money? We do not. And that's, should we get a backup CDM for Casemiro? Yes. Are we? No, we don't have the money. Do we need another center back? Yes. Are we going to do it? Probably not. This is the whole problem with Manchester United. So I don't really want to see De Gea at United next season. I could see that being his final season send-off style, and then you have more time to bring someone in. Maybe January you get Frisky. But, swapping out De Gea for Pickford, good luck with that. I prefer
Jesus
this
Christ.
Onana type of 50 million euros. This is from Romano. They won 50 million euros plus add-ons. I think you do that deal.
That's reasonable.
He
just played in the Champions League final, and he was their player of the tournament, and at least that game, he played well with the ball at his feet. I thought Inter outplayed City. Unlike us, we got outplayed by them in the FA Cup final.
And guess who was on that pitch as well? Matteo Darmian,
who played well.
He played
Darmian
well.
was good.
And that's like another like classic United. Like
Lukaku did not play well. Lukaku did not play well.
I'll tell you,
we're very good at overspending and then getting like nothing once we actually do sell a player. Dude, $50 million for a player who, like I said, 27. That's young for a goalkeeper. He's got plenty left in the tank. He's excellent with the ball at his feet. I think he does have a gap in him.
What if this meant no 9? What if you do Mount Onana and you don't get
Why
a striker?
would you do
That's
Mount,
brutal.
bro? You don't do Mount then. You like re-sign Fred and you keep
We just don't
McTominay.
have a lot of money to work with.
I know, but
it's
like
gonna be
I
so
think goalie's
frustrating
more
this
important
summer.
than Mount. We need a new goalie and we need strikers. That would be my priority. If I could sign 2 players, I'd sign number 9 and a goalie, and everything else you just kick the can until we have new owners.
The real issue on the pod, and there's no news article about it, is actually you could probably get into this next one here, talking about Zidane Iqbal, promising in preseason. A lot of Manchester. I feel like he's kind of like a fan favorite coming up in the youth. This smells to me. We sold him for €1 million.
Nothing.
I mean, like
Nothing.
absolutely nothing. He's 20 years old. The Iraqi midfielder, €1 million. This one, he shined in preseason. Ten Hag and him. Apparently, he went to the same agency as Ten Hag. This smells to me like manager player don't get along. This feels like a little bit of a get him out of here vibe. I don't want to speculate to the negative on that one.
Speculating.
But you got to. This comes from Eric Ten Hag. Sell cheap. This is not like we were. Why would we get rid of him?
He doesn't pick the prices. He picks if he wants the player or he doesn't want the player.
He doesn't want
So let
him.
me give you
And he
the
featured well
devil's
in
advocate.
preseason.
Let me give you the devil's advocate, which is look at how many minutes did he get in the regular season? Very few. How many minutes did Kobe Mainu get in regular season? Very few. And Kobe is ahead of him in the depth chart, so he's preferred. We always have this thing where we get like so emotionally attached to certain players. Angel Gomez. Anyone miss Angel Gomez? What about
Sold him for
Garner?
more than $1 million.
What about Garner? Like anyone miss Garner? Nobody misses Garner. Iqbal, I wish him
It's
well.
just a bad price.
No, it's a bad price. I think Iqbal he's 20, bro. That's not young for if you're not ready to like hit it. That is not that young anymore in the world of top flight
harsh
soccer.
from Alex.
I'm telling you.
This guy don't rate Iqbal.
Well, somebody had
Yeah,
a great thing, which is like we get so emotionally attached to all these United Academy players, and then you know what? This is just a bad
20.
deal.
How about you relax?
It's a bad
and
deal.
Like, hey, I
It's
like
a bad
him. He's
deal.
like,
I like him. I rate the player. I like his story.
Just like-
When
you're
I
like,
see
good
it,
riddance.
I didn't say that. I'm just
Good
saying.
riddance.
We have a tendency to get super attached. He should have gone for €5 million euros instead of $1
the
million.
real question, fine. We could argue all day. Have a laugh.
Okay, is he better
Is
or
there a
worse than Mason
buyback
Mount?
clause?
No, there isn't. There's just a sell-on
That's
clause.
insane.
That is insane. How do you
That's
give away a
insane.
player
Like,
a million
can't.
euros, but you don't have a buyback for like 20?
It's literally should be 10 million, no buyback, 1 million with the buyback. We just do bad. This is bad
Pay
business.
it, brothers. Have you seen those sweating
This is
bastards? They can't run a club.
This is the biggest issue for me at Manchester United. It's like you should be able to deal. You have to know, like, there's a timing. It's like you got to measure the wind. Like Paul Pogba was going to go south, and he had value, and you had to deal him. And we went full behind Paul Pogba, ran it down left on a free.
Ran it down.
Like you got to feel it, and like I'm not saying Iqbal, there's value there, but I would like to say that it's like there has to be coordination between the team. Like we got to get some tape of Iqbal balling out and then sell him, like we do need like a little bit of strategy here because €1 million isn't going to keep the lights on at Carrington. And, talk about Harry Maguire. That one is huge.
We've heard
We
nothing.
won't be
We've
able
heard
to
nothing,
get it.
sir.
Like you can't take $1 less than 30 million.
Correct.
You can't take $1 less than 30 million pounds for Harry Maguire. And that's going to be hard for us to get. And then you look at trying to sell anyone else, like even Fred. Like,
they're saying
I feel
20.
like they'll sell him if they even Fulham give us 18, just because that's 18. We're just thirsty for cash, and that's a bad deal. Fred
let's
should
talk
be
about that.
30.
Forget
at
Iqbal
least.
because he very
Fred-
plays. But what would you take for? Because Fred should not go for 20. I
Of
know he's got
course
a year
not.
left.
He has to
but
be-
he's useful for a team like Fulham that is like basically going to sit back and counter, and he can just break a play, and he never gets injured, and he can play all day, every day. He's 30. He's like a Brazilian 30, whereas like he's basically 26 if he was an English guy. because he has, you could tell, he's fit as a fiddle. He'll play till he's 34, 35, no
You
problem.
just said good riddance to Iqbal, and Fred, you're like swooning over. I have
When
to
did
call you out
Iqbal make
there.
any contribution in any
No, I'm
game?
just saying, like a 20-year-old midfielder versus a 30-year-old. Like for me,
I didn't say good.
We can't be selling
savage, I'm not
players.
bad.
We can't be selling players where we need strength. Like you had to pick. It's the easy decision: McTominay or Fred.
Yep.
You got to sell one of them, so that's probably why they're shopping Fred. See if there's real money. I mean, like if Newcastle won McTominay, you got to pay 30. We just can't sell. We cannot sell, and
Or
that's
buy.
why
We
we're
can't
just
do
like
anything.
a money pit, and we literally just burn cash. And the way to get around that is to just buy Casiedo for $5 million, buy the youngsters out of South America, and create value to sell. That is like, if you're getting burned as bad as we are, it's just like you need to be signing more youth players, investing in the youth facility, which we haven't done in a long time, and building an awesome ironclad academy with a ton of value. And seeing Iqbal go for €1 million shows like. Also, Tahith Chong, another great example. You could go down the list of players that like are promising when they come in and we don't generate a lot of value. Marcus Rashford being the exception, and certain players we don't talk about in the podcast being the exception as well. Like it's been a rough go for the youth at United, and we need to start adding value because we just keep selling, buy high, sell low.
For every 10 Iqbals, you've got one Garnacho, right? So it's like Garnacho is a real deal.
But that's the model for the whole team: goalkeeper, defense.
But
midfield.
I think your point of the matter is like, do it on $5 million splashes. Like aim small, miss small. Instead of like, if you spend $80 million and he turns out like an okay player, and Anthony is not a foregone conclusion yet because he's only had one season, but like you paid $80 million effectively for Sancho, and how's that going? Like not great. Well, maybe that's because you gave him like $350 a week. Not great. Made him one of the highest paid players in the league.
He's
not
a spy
great.
for shitty. That's what he is.
You got to aim small, miss small, and I think I think it's because of the owners and the incompetence in the front. We can't overstate how incompetent these idiots are. They're so bad at their job, and it's spying high and selling low and not being able to get value. Forget Iqbal. Fred, you should be able to sell Fred for like 35. He's like EPL proven, doesn't get injured, can play all day. And we'll get, like you said, 18. We'll take it from Fulham, and they'll laugh in our face while we spend 60 on Mason Mount with 1 year left in his contract.
Mason Mount need to up the blood
I'll tell
pressure.
You what, made fun of Mason Mount for years.
Oh,
years.
He was like my
go-to,
the go-to most overrated player ever. Speaking of players who are not overrated, Marcus Rashford on the verge of a highest paid contract at the club. This comes after Richard Arnold confirmed we would not be paying any player more than £200,000 a week. We're going to pay him a lot more money. Of course, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Idiots.
And Marcus Rashford deserves it. We're waiting on the deal. Like another great. This has to be considered a transfer. It's like getting the Glazers out, transfer. Marcus Rashford re-signing. He hasn't signed yet. There's smoke with Romano. It's gone quiet. I'm sure there's like a bunch of image rights, details, etc. So we'll keep you posted on the Rashford deal. But again, a huge one for United. Next one here from Romano, Amad Diallo. Future is open. Manchester United will make final decision on Amad in the next few weeks. He has hopes for a first team chance, but it's up to Ten Hag. Manchester United understand in case Manchester United decide to loan Amad out, the player's preference would be Sunderland again. This one has to come back to the United, has to be the second option on the right wing. We have to make a call here. Building a squad and having a world-class director of football is making calls. Is it Facundo? Is it Amad? What's the depth chart? Amad has a great season in Sunderland. You got to bring him back, and he's got to go one direction, straight up, and then he could be the guy to solve all of our problems on the right wing. I think you got to make the decision between Amad and Facundo this season. They should both be at United. They should fight for it. This is like a Chong promising loan, goes back on loan, doesn't have a good season, goes back on loan. I just feel like we can't ruin him. We got to bring him back. We got to let him see if he can do it for Manchester United. He played great for Sunderland.
Chong never looked this good, to be fair. Amad
No,
Diallo,
he did not. But
no,
you know
did.
what I mean. Like
I do know what you mean.
Perpetual
Loans to nowhere.
Yeah,
Basically, a revolving loan door that just like ends up with you getting sold to Utrecht for €1 million. I totally agree with you. I think this season, bring him back. He's ready to go. And the whole point is like Fabrizio don't know because Erik ten Hag don't know. He's going to make up his mind based on how preseason goes. And if Amad can prove himself during those games, during Hell Week Plus, that he is the man to challenge Anthony on the right wing and to be one for the future, I think you keep Amad, you loan Facundo, and you sell Alonga. And that's another player that, like, dude, he will be useful to many clubs, Alonga. He's fit. He's got a high work rate. I think he has some talent there, but you should be able to sell him for like 10, 15. We'll probably sell him for like 4 million bean bags. Sell him for nothing. But I think Ahmad, like you said, like, you got to bring him back, at least give him a go, give him a try to making the EPL, because another year in the championship doesn't bode well. Like 2 years away from, from the mothership, I think you just lose that connective tissue to be like, I am a Manchester United player.
Also, we paid a lot of money for him.
Paid a shit ton. We paid 45 million for him.
It's like
fucking crazy.
It's outlandish. It's like
worst run club in the league, bro. It's like not even close. Like,
I have to remind. I have to
45 million. Also bought Facundo 15 million. Then we bought Sancho 75 million. Then we bought Anthony 85 million.
It's the right wing of Manchester United
it's cursed.
is like
it's
like literally a black hole, a black money pit. And you gotta figure it out.
Ahmad's the guy.
He's earned a chance to see if he's the guy. And there's just too many players on the right for United. And that's a whole nother thing. So he'll probably go back on loan to Sunderland. But that's what I didn't understand. Facundo was on the team, and then we weren't getting a lot of looks at him. And he looked good when he came in.
I know, it made no sense.
And it's like we're running Wout into the ground, but we have Facundo who can do a job. He comes on, he's got, as a sub, he kind of looked dynamite on the right, and then I felt like we didn't get to flip that card over to see, hey, is this a guy that we could really have a run at, and does that push Ahmad out? I feel like you got to answer these questions, and somehow just trying to up your boy Wout Weghorst to get back into the Dutch
league.
news
there. We've heard no news about Wout Weghorst. I saw like a Burnley fan be like, we're good.
He's gone in my mind because I don't know if I could handle watching United with a weird obsession from our manager who's like got everything else right except for like his boy who can't stop playing.
I forgot he's on the team.
Van de Beek.
Forgot he's on the team.
Another 40 million. Just
by the way,
easy 40.
Same window we spent on Van de Beek was the window. It was 2020. It was when Moise Caicedo traded for £4.5 million. We paid 35 million pounds.
I thought that was like a January deal.
It was, but it was like 6 months apart, and they didn't sign anyone, and they ended up signing a player we didn't need.
Either way, 40 for Van de Beek. Again,
what a gaff that is. We'll
how much money we paid Ajax? I mean, this is another one where I do feel like when you're looking at players you're buying, we've bought a lot from Ajax and the Dutch league. You want to look at Depay, Blind, Van de Beek. We brought in Wout, who's like loosely linked to the Dutch league, and Anthony Martinez. The two players who two players who worked out. Martinez, yes. You could say Blind. And Malacia is like what he is. He's 12 million, young. But, if you had to, he's not going to be like a United legend. So my point is the Dutch league, not the best place to buy from, I think, if we're learning lessons.
Our best center back is from the Dutch league, to be fair. Your boy Blind, you love Blind. I'm playing the devil's advocate.
But Van Dijk proved it out at Southampton before he got bought for big money going to the Scouts. I'm just saying the straight from the Dutch league is like a project. Eriksson went from Ajax to Tottenham. It took him a season.
He did take a couple seasons.
But paying the big money that we've been like 45 for Van de Beek, 85 for Anthony, and it's like guys from the Dutch league coming into England struggle, and that's why you want to be looking around. The English proven, we say it here all the time. Sir Alex Ferguson bought players that could do it in England. I think it's the easiest way to de-risk it. And we're licking our wounds. The Van de Beek, another Dutch league guy, like
another
Depay,
bust,
a great example.
Another bust of a signing, right? And here's the thing: it's a good point because it used to be in the last 5 years, all the English players had this huge premium for the EPL proven, and that's where all right, we'll start looking away from the EPL. But if you're spending 85 million for an unproven Anthony in a Dutch league, it's like those are the deals you could not be doing. He's like 50. And the point is you need to find value for money. You need to be shrewd, and this is why you don't just kind of give it to your brother and his friend to run the club. You need smart fucking people who know what they're doing, not like this idiot. Can we talk about him so we can drag Darren Fletcher, please?
Last bit of news here.
I don't even know where this came from. I don't know.
You don't like Darren Fletcher, apparently.
I liked him as a player, but I don't. He represents this regime. The fact that he's like the technical director of this club with no qualifications to do so bothers me. Now, I had no personal qualms with the guy. He had as a personal story. He fought back from some really nasty illness in later years of his career. I always liked Darren Fletcher. but he is a mouthpiece for the Glazers. So therefore, like, you know what? You're not on my friend list because of that. And apparently we're like going. I just like the word
another guy without the experience doesn't serve the role.
That's it.
Type of thing.
And I'm sure he's buddies with
I
Ed
liked
Woodward.
him as a United player, but you're right. Too much
bet
shine.
he's buddies
There's too much
with
shine.
fucking Ed Woodward. Just same way Phil Jones. The reason he got a contract as 19 is apparently in 2019 when he got his huge contract for 4 more years for no reason is because he was buddies with Ed Woodward. And I bet you Darren Fletcher is buddies with Ed Woodward. And apparently we want to sign his 2 sons, Jack and Tyler Fletcher, for my favorite part is we're signing academy players from City who we've never heard of for a substantial fee. A substantial fee. Sorry, that just bothered me, sir. I had to include it.
Well, might as well give Shitty some money. They definitely need it these days. But, hey, look, I think you're right, but biggest point of new owners, you're going to get regime change here. You're getting
Clean
new
house.
guys in, clean house, and Darren Fletcher probably not going to keep his job. I want CVs. I want experience. I want people who have done it before.
Experience.
And, we don't have that right now at Manchester United, and we will struggle until we have them. You should just be firing guys with great experience. Fan questions. Thank you for everyone who tweeted us at Man United DYL. Quote, when is our first signing actually going to happen? Is Mount really what we want? I'm thinking trust Erik ten Hag if that's who he wants.
I mean, I think he will be the first signing, just knowing this club, like, we are great at overpaying for players who want to come to us. And I actually think Chelsea want to sell him because they have so many fucking players and Mount doesn't fit in. And obviously he doesn't want to sign a new contract. So I think we'll pay like $60 million for Mount. We'll pull the old 1.5 times market value, right? We should buy him for 40. We'll spend 60. We'll blow 60% of our budget. And I think at the end of the day, I trust the manager. I think he wants Mount because he's like, against the City, you play him instead of Eriksson, so he won't get run through like Eriksson can often succumb to. And then you play Eriksson when you play like a team that's going to sit back like a Nottingham Forest, and you want to pick them apart. So he's a value signing, but all of a sudden, if you're spending $60 million on Mason Mount, we've fallen into this trap before.
We're doing the same thing.
Exactly.
It's like,
Anthony wasn't a bad signing, but he's not a great signing at $85 million. At 50, he's fine. At 85, he's not great.
Not a great signing. Like that.
You've convinced me.
No, I'm just saying. It's like
It's all about value, bro. It's about price.
that's the whole. Like, fine if we're like batting like 600, and we're doing great, and we sign Anthony, and it's like, okay, but he'll fall in line, and like we got other killers and strikers.
We got like 10 Anthonys.
We're like, we needed him to be like 10-10, and maybe next season he's gonna be 10-10. Look, he's got things going on, some not good news coming out, and I hope he like reevaluates a lot of things. I mean, innocent until proven guilty, but at the end of the day, like, it sounds like he's got to get his house in order, and maybe it was rough transition to England. I have no idea what's going on with Anthony at the moment, but it doesn't look like that was a smart spend. And when you're getting up in those numbers, guys who've done it in the league, like you got like Matoma. If you paid $80 million for Matoma right now, like I don't love it, but like I'd rather do that than someone.
But Donny
from,
Van de
like, a
Beek is
league,
just as bad of a signing for $40 million because
Yes, it
they
is,
bought
but we've
the
done this so
Scousers
much.
just bought McAllister, and he looked lights out. He tore apart that Arsenal side when we went to the Emirates, sir, a couple months ago. He went for $35 million.
Buy the Brighton team. Yes. I
Donny
agree with
Van de
that,
Beek
yes.
is not, will never be a Manchester United going concern. And dude, we just have busts for breakfast, bro. We eat like bad signings, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We just unbelievable, overpaid for players.
Yes, and every time it's like
and he wasn't even a good player. Like he's
we're
a
gonna
good
buy
guy.
Mason Mount, and it's like the funny
60
thing
million.
is like
$60 million.
we follow this team before social media, and it's like social media. All that has done has been like Mason Mount comes in, everyone loves Mason Mount, everyone thinks he's gonna do amazing. Right, and then it's just gonna be like, oh, and then it's like the downhill. And Anthony, we're like on the downhill, like eating another 80, like another 80
for
million
breakfast, bro.
Another 80 million.
He's been 80 on Magoo. On
I know,
Magoo.
we've been eating that one
He's
for
fifth,
a long
he's
time.
fifth string. He's behind Shaw.
No, I know, but time heals all wounds. So like the fresh 80 million
40
signing
for
that's letting you
Van de
down,
Beek.
like,
We spent 40 on Ahmad.
like Lukaku, Pogba. It's like so brutal. It's
Don't
like
even
we're
bring
just
that up.
in. Like it's just
L's. We eat L's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, bro.
it's a rough one. So who we're gonna sign when we sign him, I don't know. Well,
Couldn't tell you.
as far as I trust Erik ten Hag, he wants Mount, get him, but like overpaying, just
That's on the front
can
office.
we stop overpaying,
Please.
Can we start doing deals? At AB_man99, quote, having the most promising season in years. I'd hope that Ten Hag would be backed in the market, but I guess it is too much to ask for these owners with a bunch of clown emojis. We would agree. Glazers letting us down in a new way, but also hopefully beating expectations by leaving and selling the club, which I think is critical. And hopefully we'll have news on that this week or next. At Dante Zinferno, any chance we'll sell Maguire, or thoughts in possibly getting Declan with cash and player swaps? Any update on Højlund? We need to sell players ASAP. This is a great point. Like, we should have been selling players by now, and we were just doing
Iqbal.
nothing.
We sold Iqbal.
Everyone knows. The problem is, like, the tie's gone out. We got no clothes on.
Exactly.
Like, everyone knows who we need to sell, who we need to buy. They're just gonna wait out Magoo and just like offer nothing. It's almost like credit to all the other teams that conspire against this, because it works and it's painful.
They
to
just
watch.
know, because they look at history. They know the club is run by buffoons who can get taken advantage of. So Maguire, I think we'll sell him. We'll probably sell him for less than he's worth.
22.50.
Yeah, we'll sell him like 20 million. We could probably sell him for 35 if it was a competent club. I don't think we'll get Declan Rice, because I think we can go head to head
What
with
about
Arsenal.
all the players who we offer? Alonga,
Maguire, McTominay.
and like, I think it was Alonga, Maguire,
And 40.
and 40. That's just like funny to me, because it's like when you're playing the
When
video
have you
game
seen
and
a
you're trying
player
to transfer.
swap?
You're
I
like
know,
trying to
I
get
know.
like,
Throw
how do you get to like
Alonga.
Arsenal bid like 100? They said no, and then how do you get to 100 million with Alonga and Maguire?
Yeah,
like,
that's-
it's like you're not valuing them at.
Have
60.
you met our front office?
It's like, it's literally a joke.
And Højlund, they priced him at 80 million because they know we're idiots. And actually, we walked away because
that's smart.
he
to
was
walk
quoted
away.
for 45, and then they're like, actually 90 because you're fucking idiots. So pay us 90. And you know what? Shame on us. We probably would pay 90, but we are dying. The fact that like we haven't made any moves.
You gotta get somebody.
We need two people.
What about a loan? Like, give me a loan. I'll take a loan. I'll take a loan striker.
What about that
Like,
guy who was
honestly.
on a free agent from Germany that I think he's going to Inter, and he's like got good numbers. Like Thuram. Either way, we're not doing nothing. We're not doing nothing. This is a write-off of a summer. Eating L's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's all I got to say. It is the L factory.
The best one. At Randy Scrandy L, quote, Yassim comes in and sacks the board and replaces them with people he trusts. If they don't deliver, they're replaced, as any good club is run. Is that a policy you can get behind? Seems good to me, especially if he's serious about bringing us back to glory. Randy asking about the Qatar bid. Obviously, Ratcliffe and Qatar in contention. There was a lot of heat behind the Qatar bid. I think Rio came out and said it's imminent. They were going to exclusivity. Then we've heard silence. Clearly, the Rain Group, that's basically selling snake oil, they're the ones trying to get them going off of each other. Who knows what the hell's going on right now? But yeah, any owner that runs this club, that respects this club's history and runs it well by getting top talent into positions that align with the historical excellence of Manchester United, I can get behind. I don't want an owner that just wants shiny new toys like PSG.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that. You have to understand the academy. You have to understand Jimmy Murphy. You have to understand Munich, 1958. You got to get behind it all. You got to know the history of United. You got to be a real supporter and weave the next chapter of United with that history going forward versus, sports washing. So and here's the thing. Ratcliffe could be the worst owner ever.
Yep.
Hassim could be the best owner ever.
Or vice
Ratcliffe
versa.
could be the best owner ever. Hassim could be the
Correct.
worst. They could be worse than the Glazers. Nobody knows. And that's the thing is, like, as fans, we should have our antennae up a little bit around judging the new owner in the same. It's not like you get a new owner and it's like all your problems are solved. No, you have to hold them to a standard, communicate with the fans, understand the history, build the academy. I think all these types of things. I trust me, I don't think either of them are going to get that wrong, because they're going to look at the Glazer case study and be like, let's not do that.
Yeah.
And then, like, literally,
We
the
spent a shit ton of
conclusion is
money.
like literally the opposite of that, which is like actually caring. So I do think regardless, it should go better. But, PSG, I don't think is the best example. It can be done. Unfortunately, you look at Shitty and how they're run. They would die to have our history and have our fan base. So if someone could do something smart like that over time, back the manager, invest in the team, sir, I wouldn't hate to see good football every once in a while.
And honestly, like as guys who work in companies, I like seeing like operational I've been crying out for us to have some fucking top tier talent in the front office for years. And like they gave us a token DOF, like some sweaty idiot that doesn't know a goddamn thing. That took like a decade for literally them to give us Richard Arnold or John Murtaugh, excuse me. I always mix up those fucking goofs. I want like competency. It's like we're dying for that. We've been spending so much fucking money. We've just talked about all the bad deals we've done. I just want like a front office that knows what they're doing, that has done it at other clubs, that will go out there and get good deals. I don't have a horse in the race as it relates to Qatar versus Radcliffe. Both of their case studies are not great. PSG has been poorly run, and everything I've heard about Lyon is they've been poorly run under Ineos. But that being said, if they come into Manchester United, they will have spent £6 billion just to get this beloved football club. They're going to need to spend an extra couple billion to get us back into fighting shape. You would hope that you would just, whether they're people they trust or just people who are qualified, get people who are qualified for the job.
That's the biggest thing,
because they have done it at other firms of not equal, but like top clubs in Europe, and they've had success. It's not a fucking mystery how you build a great football club. Look at City. Where did they get their top front office talent from? They basically poached the front office of Barca, and they got all these fucking heavies in, and guess what? They spent a shit ton of money. We've spent just as much.
And guess what Newcastle did? They pipped Brighton's DOF.
They took all these great front. That's what you do. You just go to a club that's doing it better than you, and you steal their talent.
No.
And then there you go.
Paul Mitchell, Van de Sar CEO.
Dude,
these are the types of people you need around the club. It's easy. You get
easy.
Van der Sar to be the CEO.
You don't make an accountant.
You bring
or
in
CEO.
Paul Mitchell or world-class director of football. If it's a low-budget summer, they're going to make moves. They're smart guys. They're sharp. You look at what we got, and it's just like it's Numpty FC. And it's going to be Numpty FC until the Glazers are gone, sir. And that is it. That's the podcast. Thank you for everyone who dropped some fan questions. Like we said at the beginning, if you like the podcast, you want to support us, keep us ad-free. We have had advertising offers. We have turned them down. We want to go the Patreon route. We think it's more authentic. And we have a great connection with our Patreon fans because they go the extra mile.
Appreciate you.
Big shout out to them. We can do a behind-the-scenes episode every single month, and there's tons of other benefits. So just check out our Patreon page. You want to support us a different way? The store, we got scarves, shirts, stickers, you name it, americadevils.store. Drop a review, like, subscribe. You know how it goes. Like I said, we're just in the garage.
Sweating.
It's
fucking hot.
Hope everyone's having a great summer. Start giving our top 10 downloads last 7 days.
Number 1, how you doing? Chicago, Illinois, New York, Toronto, Canada, Dallas, Texas, Orlando, Florida, Los Angeles, California, San Francisco, California, Dublin, Ireland, Manchester, England, and last but not least, Cincinnati, Ohio. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. Couldn't do it without you. It's going to be a long summer. There's going to be a lot of shit sandwiches, probably. That's what you're eating L's.
I'll tell you what, you're not going to have to eat an 80 million pound L unless it's Mason Mount.
Mason
Everyone
Mount.
have a great summer. We'll be back with another Transfer Muppetry podcast next weekend. Have a great week.